Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing today? So this is good. A little bit of energy would be good. It's the last session of the day. Yes! Yes, thank you. Bless you all. Thank you so much. We're going to have fun in this session today. My name is Talhah Mir. I'm on the product team on Purview, working on data security, and
I'm Nathalia. I'm part of the marketing team with Purview, and today I'm so excited to be here with you talking about DSPM. So yes, we know it's the last session of the day, so we're going to make it very exciting. So come with us as we embark on this journey, yeah? But before we actually dive into DSPM, I wanted to just ground us a little bit about some of the things that you might be hearing since yesterday at Ignite, and that are top of mind, that have been top of mind for data security leaders and might be keeping some of you awake at night. So first of all, a very well-known challenge from our industry and from data security is the fact that organizations do want to consolidate data security and data security programs. We know most of the leaders, they do want to invest, and it is a priority for them to invest in the consolidation of their platforms. And the reason for that is that the more centralized, the more unified the data security programs, the more efficient they're going to be, and not only in terms of the actual protections, but also in terms of cost efficiency and operational efficiency. So yeah, so core data security, more efficiency, right? But when you think about core data security, you're talking about preparing your data, making sure your data is ready. Making sure your data is ready, doing core data security is also securing AI. And as AI has become front and center, as you secure data, you're also securing AI. AI adoption is inevitable, but needs to be done in a safe way. We also see here that 73% of organizations are already investing in data security and compliance controls to be done directly on the places where users and agents are interacting with the data. So extremely important. You can see an example of that in the announcements of Agent 365, for example. So it is top of mind for organizations, is also top of mind for us at Microsoft. But this is securing AI. Another super important thing when you think about AI and the rise of AI is the fact that we really do need to catch up with the fast risks and the new risks that AI and the use of agents bring by applying AI to make faster and more efficient and more productive data security, right? So we know here, for example, that most leaders are already planning to apply Gen AI within the data security programs to leverage and accelerate their teams. That is super important, especially in the verge of we still having a cybersecurity workforce gap, and the fact that those risks are increasing as AI adoption increases as well. So what is this picture? What picture are we painting here, right? Organizations, they want to do unified AI-powered data security that enables them to safely and confidently adopt AI apps and agents, right? So what's the role that data security posture management as a discipline plays here? DSPM plays a super key part here because it does, in the story, because it does enable us and organizations to really simplify the experience between visibility and control by being that single pane of glass between data risks, the visibility and control of data risks across your organization. So quick question, how many of you are familiar with Purview data security posture management?
Yeah.
Oh, you're in the right session, yay. Okay, super excited. So yeah, and that's exactly what we're trying to do with our DSPM, make sure that that is our town square for experiencing that visibility and control.
So before we delve deep into DSPM, I just want to set the frame a little bit about what is data security, what do we consider data security? None of this should be surprising, but just to level set a little bit, right? So when we talk about data security as a holistic discipline, there's really 3 dimensions that you have to worry about. First, how do you look at and manage the risk to your data at rest? Then how do you manage your data in transit, or the risk to your data in transit? And last, certainly not least, because data doesn't move itself, people move data, you got to look at the user risk as well. So the people and the entities behind the data movement that's happening. Now we have products in place that manage each of those dimensions for you. Things like MIP, Microsoft Information Protection, for your data at rest, DLP or data loss prevention for your data in transit, and finally insider risk management for your user risk. And they'll come together and light up these amazing capabilities around adaptive protection and even have new capabilities like data security investigations. How many people have heard of data security investigations, by the way? Good, good. This is one of our newest babies out there right now. And this is really the first AI-powered, born from the ground up solution to help you investigate your AI or your data risks using the power of LLMs. Now, all of this comes together in the town square we call data security posture management. Because the idea is you want to manage the risk across those 3 dimensions. You don't necessarily want to have to worry about stitching them up across those solutions. You want that objective, you want the outcomes, you want to achieve that in one place. That is DSPM, and that's what we'll walk you through today.
And that's why we're super excited today to be bringing you the new expanded Microsoft Purview Data Security Posture Management experience. And the reason why we say new and expanded is because we have been doing DSPM with you for a while now. But because we have remember those 3 challenges that we've been discussing? We're making sure that we're taking this, we're taking these 3 core priorities and making sure that this is the core of our product strategy. So whenever we do to enhance our experience in DSPM, it's going to make sure that the driver for that is to make sure that customers are going to be enabled to tackle each of these challenges. So with that, I'm really excited for Talhah to show you how that works in real life.
Okay, let's do a quick whirlwind tour of a bunch of different capabilities around DSPM. First, we understand that data security can be overwhelming. It can be hard. Your data profile is constantly emerging. There's new data being created. There's AI slop being created. There's data slop being created all the time. You want to be able to get to the key data items and know what you need to protect and how you need to protect it so you can accelerate your AI adoption. That's the story at the end of the day. And the frame that I want you to think of data security as is discover, protect, and investigate. Right? And this isn't anything unique, by the way. This is how you think about data security, right? So the very first thing is to discover what your risks are so you can prioritize. Once you know what they are, then you can start the protection journey. And because security is a defense in depth play, you always have to worry about things that might fall through the cracks. And that's where investigations come in, things like your DLP alerts or insider risk management alerts. So one of the things that we did is to unify the 2 experiences that we had around DSPM and DSPM for AI, because there's no such thing as AI data or non-AI data. It is really just data that you want to protect. You protect your data, you accelerate your AI adoption. So the key things that we show you are key posture metrics. We're going to keep it simple. So across those 3 dimensions, what's the first thing you want to know? What does my discovery landscape look like? What percentage of my data estate is actually classified or labeled, right? And these are assets. They could be structured assets, unstructured assets. Second, protection. What are the activities across my estate that I actually have some level of protection around with DLP? And it could be direct block. It could be warm with override. You could even potentially audit in some cases. And last, certainly not least, data security investigations. Because we know it's a defense in depth play, when things fire, you want to make sure you're actually triaging those alerts. But we know you're getting a lot of alerts. It happens. And we have something to help you. And that's where the triage agents come in, and we'll talk about those at the end of this. The second thing we want to draw your attention to are what we call these data snapshots. And so we also heard loud and clear that there's a difference between how I consider stale data or fresh data. If it's fresh data, there might be urgency around the protection of it depending on the classification of data. But if it's stale data and it's being exfiltrated, maybe I need to purge it because it's really a matter in that case of something that's a liability and it's not being used, right? So we start off by giving you these metrics right at the top. You can see across stale and fresh what percentage of labeled assets are being exfiltrated and what percentage of the non-labeled assets exfiltrated. And same thing on the fresh data side. And then the big thing is these objectives. So when you think of data security, there's 3 questions that you might ask, right? What is it you want me to do? Why do you want me to do it? And how should I get it done? So this is the broad frame around what we call objectives, risk patterns, and remediation plans. And that's a durable frame that you're going to hear us talk about over and over and over again. So when you land in DSPM, you see a bunch of objectives, things like prevent data exposure in Microsoft 365 Copilot interactions, right? Very hot topic nowadays. Or prevent oversharing of sensitive data. think Ashish was talking about this in the last session. Oversharing is not an AI problem. It's a data security hygiene problem that we need to go fix. Or you go further down and you can see some of the more core or fundamental data security objectives, like prevent exfiltration of risky destinations, for example. Now, this is the objective. Now, you might get enough conviction looking at this and saying, I'm good to go. Tell me how you want me to achieve that objective, and we'll take you to the action plan. But we know customers want to be able to develop that conviction to say, is this really the right objective I need to go prioritize? And because of that, we have this other sort of model in place that we call progressive disclosure. One of the other things we heard about from customers is it could be overload if you show all these metrics and dashboards and numbers and all that stuff. So progressively bring that to me in case I need it. So how do we start? We start by showing you some key metrics that might be relevant. So a number of files that are being sent to personal domains, or a number of files being sent to external cloud, or a number of files being printed or copied to USB. Maybe that's enough conviction to drive the remediation plan. If not, you can review the objectives, and then we expand that aperture and start to show you trends at that point. So what's been happening over the last 30 days, over the last 90 days? What's been happening with specific types of exfiltration in my environment? So maybe we show you files exfiltrated to personal accounts, what we're seeing, what kind of accounts, what kind of domains they're going to. Maybe that's enough for you to develop that conviction and say, I've got it, I need to do what I need to go do to take action. Right? So we show you the metrics, we can show you the trends, or you can go one step deeper and you can get right into the individual log events at that point. And so we're progressively bringing you in as deep as you want to be at that point, right? So we can get you to the specific activity logs and what we're seeing and why that thing is important for you to go act on. If you're still not convinced at this point, God knows what to do at this point. But if you're good to go, you click on View Remediation Plan, and we'll show you, just like you go to a doctor, they give you a prescription, the prescription is made up of multiple things. We also package that here. More often than not, the kinds of plans that you need to have to achieve these objectives require a multi-stage controls that you need to put into place. And so we package that up as well in a remediation plan. It could be one, it could be many. So a lot of times for exfiltration, you have to worry about different types of DLP controls. You have to worry about insider risk management controls. You have to worry about labeling, asset management, all that stuff. The other thing we're very excited to announce is this idea of impact analysis. So once you come in and we give you a plan with a set of controls and you try to take one of those controls, we'll actually use the recent history to predict the near future and tell you what kind of impact you might have in the number of exfiltration events that might go down as a result of those actions that you put into place.
Yeah, and I see some people nodding, some people taking pictures. We really hope you resonate with this because we've heard from customers about how giving them this flow between taking them from discovery through protection through remediation was super important. It can actually help perform real and strong data security posture, right? But we also heard from customers that real data security posture also depends on more visibility. So there's a lot of new reporting capabilities that we're bringing in into Purview, built-in DLP and information protection. There's a session tomorrow, a theater session tomorrow at 10. I strongly recommend you attend that. But because DSPM is our one-stop shop to visibility, we're also bringing that into DSPM.
Yeah. We heard you loud and clear. You know, life's about the little things. These reports are so critical, and we heard why it's so important to go do that. You know, whether it's, you're looking at these out-of-the-box reports, there's tons of them. I was trying to ask the person working on these reports, how many do we have? And we're like, we're still adding more, so there's tons of reports coming out of the box. Everything from protecting and governing AI, or understanding the posture around managing risk and exfiltration, all the way down to how policies are working in your environment. So we'll give you these reports. You know, so you, for example, you'll have a report for auto-labeling policy coverage. Now, labeling is going to be one of the largest operations you will do in your tenant in terms of the sheer scale of data that it will touch. So the idea with these reports is to give you that bird's eye view of what's going on with auto-labeling. Everything from policies you've set up, to the simulation results of those policies, to the actual labels that get applied on those, on those assets as the policies are running.
Yeah, and this is just one of many new reporting enhancements that we're bringing in at Ignite. So we've been talking a lot about core data security, right? So Talhah showed an example of data exfiltration outcome. We're talking a lot about reporting. Remember I told you in the beginning that securing data is actually securing AI. So that's actually super important for us. We live by that truth. Quick question, how many of you is already leveraging 𝗦𝗽𝗲𝗀𝗃𝗃 Copilot?
Nice.
So yeah, so you're probably as worried, as prioritized as much as we do using and leveraging 𝗦𝗽𝗃𝗃 Copilot and other AI apps with safety, right? So because of that, we take those scenarios, 𝗦𝗽𝗃𝗃 Copilot protection, oversharing, very seriously, and we're making some objectives and we're creating outcomes specifically for those, so that we can simplify the experience of actually addressing those risks.
Awesome. So again, the same frame, objectives, right? What do you want me to do? So one of the objectives that I've talked about earlier that you'll see is prevent data exposure in Microsoft 365 Copilot interactions. And there's a bunch of controls made up to help you achieve that objective out of the box. And just like I said before, we'll show you those metrics up front, how many user prompts we're seeing, how many files are being potentially overshared that can impact that objective. And here, for example, I'll trust this. I don't necessarily need to be convinced, so I don't need to get into the why and necessarily have that whole disclosure around the different trends or the audit logs. So I'll save you a remediation plan, and I'll get a bunch of recommendations that I can take, everything from preventing sensitive content from being uploaded to Copilot, to copy and paste of content, to even inline protection of that content as you're typing it. But one of the more fundamental things that we talked about is hygiene. Right? This is a massive, massive problem that we've had as an industry for decades now at this point. So what are we going to do? Oversharing assessment, right? Really a fundamental piece. So you'll see one of the action plans that this tells you is go run one of those oversharing assessments and carry out the remediation actions that it might identify for you. So let me drill into some of the new announcements that we've made. So recently, for example, we've had 𝗦365 oversharing assessment in the product. A little while ago, we extended that to Fabric. So you look at Fabric assets as well and potentially identify over-permissioned or overshared Fabric assets and drive your remediation in that as well. But let me dig into the 𝗦365 oversharing assessment. So the idea here is we've had the capability to give you what we call site-level assessment. So you can look at the different sites in your environment, what's potentially overshared, and how to take action. But one of the newest capabilities we're announcing as part of this Ignite is item level. So now we can go beyond site level down to the item level and tell you what's potentially overshared. So in this case, you might have a couple of overshared items in a specific site that you've identified, and we'll actually show you what that is. Furthermore, now you can also start to take action right out of the product as well. So I can select some of these things off the box. If it's already been handled offline, for example, I can resolve it. So this is just tag it as complete. Don't worry about it. If a successive assessment runs on the same asset, I don't want to see that same asset over and over again, so it'll get rid of it. But really, some of the more interesting things that are important are things like being able to send a notification, right? Security is a team sport. You can't get everything done sitting down in the data security team or the SOC to handle all these things. A lot of times you need to reach out to the item owners, the content owner, and say, look, you've got sensitive data or you got over-permissioned file here, take the permissions down. So we'll take care of that for you too. One of the small things that we're really excited about here is when you send this notification out, the link that the person receives, with that, they don't need Purview admin permissions or analyst permissions anymore. They can get right in, review just that asset, take the action, and move on. That's worth a clap, man. Come on, yeah. Thank you for indulging me like that. I appreciate it. So you can do that out of the box. You can also take a hammer approach if you wanted to, right? And I'll talk about the hammer in a bit. But you can also label these things. Label is fundamental to data security. The better you classify and understand your content, the more robust your policies are going to be across things like data at rest or data in motion or even user risk stuff, so insider risk stuff, for example. So right out of the box, you can apply a label to that file. Or you could take the baseball bat. And you can swing at it and say, look, there's an overshared link here. I just want that link disappeared. I want to get rid of that. So you might have anonymous links on these items. You can get rid of that right from the product as a Purview admin. Super, super excited about that stuff. And once it's all done, you'll get a bunch of pretty little green circles, and you're happy.
Yeah, it's actually very nice to be with a crowd that is as excited about this as we are, because this is a pretty big deal for us. Like, it's something that customers have been talking about for a while. So yeah, having data risk assessments being extended to Fabric and with other protections is something that it's going to be really life-changing to any oversharing risks our organizations are going to be exposed to. But one thing that probably you've been understanding about Ignite already is that 3 out of 5 words that we say here is agents, right? So you've seen this already. There's a lot of, with the rise of agents and any AI app, the rise of use of AI apps, more with agents now. The risks also change a little bit, right? The attack surfaces change. In our case, with data security, the risk surfaces change a little bit. And also change the type of activities and the type of users we're detecting. So what happens is that with this exponential use and growth of agents, it is pushing us to extend our great capabilities of Purview also to those agentic activities and agentic risks, right? But besides extending Purview capabilities, we also understand that there's a unique need to certain types of visibilities that we need to do for agents that might be a little bit different, right? So we are bringing that unique view of agentic risks and activities into DSPM as well.
So let's look at this. How many people excited about this AI observability? Just show hands. Yes, yes, yes. It's okay to let it out a little bit. It's okay.
It's forced.
End of the day, it's my Wednesday.
We're with you.
So AI observability as part of DSPM, we'll show you these key trends right off, key metrics right off the top. Again, the first thing being, you can't protect what you can't see. Okay? There's a beautiful line a friend of mine gave me yesterday. Love it. I'm going to use it. So we can give you things like an inventory of all of your agents. We can tell you what's active, what's inactive. We can even tell you what's potentially high risk. And this is something I'm going to drain in a bit more detail a little bit later on. And then we can also tell you how many of those agents are actually interacting with sensitive data and how that data might be potentially overshared or how that data is getting exfiltrated. Now, insider risk management. So initially when you think about insider risk management, for the longest time we've been thinking about this as a human problem or an opportunity to address with humans in the loop. Agents are the same thing. These agents are going to have access to data. They're going to interact with data. They're going to move data around just like people move data around. The difference is that they're going to move it at a different pace. In fact, we were talking to a partner earlier today. He used this line, amazing line. I'm going to steal it. Agents are like Pac-Man from hell. They consume this data, but they do it at a rate that's absolutely intense and insane. And they don't take vacation, they don't go to sleep, they just keep working, keep clobbering. So the idea with insider risk management here is going to be to extend the same capabilities, the same types of detections over into the agent plane as well, into the digital worker plane. So the same beautiful views that we have in insider risk management, this beautiful night sky view where we can show you all the different stars in the sky, we can show you what's the different activities are that we're seeing. The same graph we can plot for you for these agents as well. There's even sequences that we'll have. So for example, if we see that agents are going in and trying to access really sensitive SharePoint sites, and they're attempting even to send emails outside the organization that's against policy, we detect that. We can raise that for you so you can take your action. This one, I need a little bit of love on this one. This is very near and dear to me. People excited about this? Just pandering at this point is all I'm doing, honestly. Okay. And then we can dig in and we can show you all the different agents and different activities types that we're seeing, just like a traditional activity explorer. So think of that same concept again, right? It's progressive disclosure. So we'll show you as little, as summarized of a view as you want, or as detailed of a view as you want to build that conviction, to understand that risk so you can act on it as you see fit. And of course, you can dig into the details on each individual interaction, including up to seeing the actual prompts and responses that the agents are producing or getting as a result.
Yeah, and I also have a soft spot for insider risk management for agents, because I think we're just scratching the surface about everything that we're understanding, so there's much more to come within the next months or so. So yeah, super excited. And I hope you've been understanding kind of the flow and the mood and the theme of what we're bringing with the new DSPM experience. So everything starts to be experienced through those objectives, and then almost like the cherry on top becomes the specific capabilities that will help you enhance that certain specific visibilities and protections, such as AI observability and the extended data risk assessments, right? So yeah, great. We've been talking a lot about securing AI, making sure that people and organizations are feeling enabled to leverage AI in a confident way. How about the agents that we are bringing? Because the thing is, with the rise and speed of AI, the risks are also going to keep coming, new risks that we're just figuring out. So that means that we also need to accelerate the way we do data security, make it more productive. So how about the agents that we are bringing to help them make data security more productive?
Awesome. So let's frame this up a little bit. So one of the, we've been doing a lot of research in this space, talking to a lot of customers like yourself out there. What we recognize is, predominantly speaking, there's two personas when it comes to data security or data security management, right? There's a data security admin who shapes and maintains the organization's data security posture before an incident occurs. So the job of this individual is to keep an eye out on things like your asset activity, asset logs, your activity logs, as well as, and perhaps most importantly, the content itself, right? So you understand that, so you can start to define the policies, define the permissions, manage the permissions, that stuff. So this is the proactive, largely speaking, the proactive side of the house. Then there's the equally important side. So the first side is really focused on the discover and protect space. So what do I need to do preemptively before an incident might occur? But as we all know, security is about defense in depth. Right? So you can't just lean on discover and protect alone. You have to worry about investigation capabilities as well. So this is where the data security analyst comes into the picture, broadly speaking. So their job is to keep a lookout on alerts that might fire if a potential incident happens. So these could be DLP alerts, they could be IRM alerts or insider risk management alerts, and to triage them and to surface them up to tier 2 or investigators, a lot of times HR, a lot of times legal, a lot of times the business groups to actually go remediate that issue. So very excited to announce a brand new agent for data security posture. So this is the data security posture agent and the GA of the data security triage agent. Now, sort of the mental frame I want you to have in mind for this is very much like when you hire a new college grad in your organization. You teach them, you give them experiences, you coach them, and they grow over time with new capabilities and new skill sets. These bad boys here, same thing is going to happen with them. Without getting into more detail, they're going to grow in terms of their capabilities and whatnot as we add more and more things into it. But we're going to start to frame these things as these two jobs to be done around the specific personas that you have that need that help. So let's dig into this. We'll start off by the data security triage agent. So we're announcing the GA of this thing. This thing has been in market for a few months now. This today has the capability to look at DLP alerts and insider risk management alerts. But in DLP alerts, it was not able to look at endpoint DLP alerts, and it was not able to look at alerts with custom sits in it. So that's the new skill we taught it. And so that's how it's graduated now. And we also have a very new capability around remediation that we'll talk about. So the idea is once you land in your DLP page, you have the alerts view, you can get the standard view, which is still there, or you can toggle over and see the triage agent view, which starts to tag these alerts into those that are potentially less urgent or those that need attention, less urgent or needs attention. And the mental model there is think of it like your inbox, right? Your focused inbox versus your other inbox. So we'll start to do that. And then you can see the alerts that need your attention. And when you dig into one of them, it's just like a human analyst had gone through and created a report for you. What the agent does is actually reasons over the activity logs, the asset logs, and the content itself to produce this report, including sensitivity risk, potential exfiltration risk, and policy risks, and produces this verdict to tell you what's going on. Now, just like a human analyst, it's not gonna always be perfect. It's gonna give you a verdict, you can teach it. So we're also adding some capabilities around agent feedback, where you can give it very structured feedback on what it got wrong and what it should learn in terms of future iterations. And this is tenant specific, by the way. We don't see any of that stuff. This stays in your tenant. And we know the job is not done there. So the brand new capability we're announcing as part of this is, we often talk to customers that are like, when I find sensitive information as a part of the DLP alert, I need to go reach out to the actual content owners and say, can you remove this sensitive piece of information in this document, or delete this document, or what's going on? And that we feel like is a perfect example of something these LLMs can take care of. So there's smarts built in terms of how it reaches out over teams, how it nags a little bit as well, just like the human analyst does, but it does it in a way that you can define the parameters around it. And then, so that's the data security analyst side of the house. On the data security posture side of the house, so this is the new journey that we're beginning. And the way this will show up is when you go into data security posture management, you'll have entry points into this thing. Once you're looking at actual assets, one of the most important things that you have to understand as part of your data security strategy is the content itself. Right? So you can come into this thing, natural language, put in a prompt to say, find me all the files containing details and roadmap items related to Project Nebula, which might be a super secret project that you're working on, for example. You can target it at specific locations. It'll go analyze the content, analyze the document, come back with a list, tell you everything that's there, including any kind of labels that are on there, and you can override those labels if you want. You can kind of see where this is going. So for now, it has to earn that trust. Right? So it's just going to do it, show you the stuff, and you get to apply the labels if you want. Or if you just want to see the report, this is something LLMs can do phenomenally well, by the way, in any language. So it'll be able to parse through that content and actually tell you what it found, give you a summary of it. You can export that stuff out, why it made the recommendation that it made, that content aligns with the natural language intent that you had put in place. So that's one last thing I'll say. Amazingly insane announcement that I lost my mind over, actually. But I don't know how you guys feel about it. It's in E5 now. Security Copilot is in E5. That is, I'm losing my mind over this stuff. And we have plans that will make you go crazy about what we're about to do with agents in E5, but we'll just calm down a little bit on that.
More to come.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we've been talking about so many different pieces and parts that we're bringing to the DSPM, and we've been here for what, like 30 minutes? And you can see that it's not exhaustive. Why? Because the DSPM is actually the town square between a lot of what we consider the core data security in AI data security for Purview today. So think about, I think that what we want you to get out of this session today is the DSPM is this town square for data security within Purview. But the thing is, come back. But there's a very important thing on this is that with the growth of AI and apps, especially, the DSPM doesn't happen inside. Data security posture management doesn't happen in a silo, right? And our apps and our agents, they will be grounded not only, let's be honest, not only in Microsoft data, but also in external data as well. And real data security posture management happens across your data state, right? So we understand how important it is to actually bring that expanded visibility that goes way across, way beyond the Microsoft environment. And this is why we know it's extremely important for us to actually complement the depth that we have within Microsoft by working with partners to actually bring the breadth needed to actually understand data wherever it lives, right? And we can do that through our platform approach that is actually enabled by Microsoft Sentinel. So yesterday, if you were in Rohan's session yesterday, he talked a little bit about our platform approach. We're super excited about this being just the beginning of how we can integrate things. And that's why this is probably one of the most exciting pieces of news we have today, that is our third-party integration via our partner ecosystem. So we're finally extending visibility to way beyond Microsoft.
I mean, this has been a humbling exercise. I think there's so much that we've learned from our partners throughout this whole journey, and we continue to learn. And the fact that we get a chance to lean in on them to actually help you all is just, it's really is the icing on the cake of all of this. So that's why it is, to me at least, one of the most important things that we're doing in DSPM right now. So one of the other objectives, again, back to the same frame that you'll have, is potentially discover unmonitored data sources referenced by your app. So we can, through AI observability, we can see what the agents are, whether it's Foundry developed, embodied through A65, or Copilot Studio developed. And if those sources are not protected, or we don't have any information from them, we can tell you about that in DSPM. And then the opportunity there is to say, look, there are a set of partners that you have that you can bring in and integrate with that can bring in that data, whether it's Databricks, whether it's Salesforce, whether it's Google Cloud, whether it's Snowflake. Very, very excited about this opportunity. It is a team sport. I can tell that's the one you're excited about because I didn't pander for that one. I got it naturally. I appreciate that. No, this is actually a very, very big deal for us because it is a team sport. And the thing that we want to do, what our partners want to do, is to protect all of you, protect our customers, and protect your data. And obviously, we'll be able to dig into all of this stuff in the same experience in DSPM. You can see all these assets across the board. It's going to be one view. And one of the things I want to do now is to actually invite up one of these amazing partners of ours from Varonis, Rob Sobers, Chief Marketing Officer from Varonis, and Rudy, CVP of Microsoft Purview, to do a little fireside chat.
Man, that was an incredible set of announcements, right? Another round of applause for these guys. So with that, as Talhah and Nathalia were talking about, AI is, of course, fueled by data. And security is a team sport, and there's a lot of data out there. And so with that, really exciting to have Rob Sobers from Varonis, Chief Marketing Officer, here with us. It's a commitment, in some sense, to kind of extend what Purview does across a lot more data. So I'd love to kind of talk to Rob about that and get his thoughts on this. Welcome, Rob.
Oh, thank you for having me, Rudy. I'm really happy to be here. I'm excited to be here at Ignite as a Vanguard sponsor. So for those of you who don't know Varonis, we're the leader in data security, and we're a top 40 global Microsoft partner. We've partnered for many, many years. And I think one of the big turning points in our partnership was the cloud era, right? With M365, Azure, Entra ID, and teaming up with Purview and integrating quite well to make sure that our customers' data is safe from data breaches, that they can now deploy AI safely and do it in a very automated way. And I think we have north of 1,000 E5 and Varonis installations out there. And when we're together, it's really a force multiplier. And our customers have the assurance that their data is protected, not only in the Microsoft ecosystem, but as Talhah just mentioned, beyond. So I'm really excited to be partnering with you all to bring in third-party signals into Purview.
Yeah, can you share a little bit more, Rob? I'm sure the audience would want to know, how has the partnership evolved over the years? And how do you kind of see that, especially with AI, as you were starting to frame up there changing?
Yeah, obviously with AI, it is a data security problem. And AI is built by design to consume all of the data in its pathway, right? If you have Copilot deployed, it's using the user's pass-through permissions, right? If you have an agent, the agent is more valuable as it can consume more data, but you have to have the right controls to make sure it's only the right data, that it, if it's regulated data, that you know about it, and that all of the activity is being monitored so you can tell if there's anything malicious or out of policy going on. And that's really what we're doing with Varonis for Copilot and Varonis for ChatGPT and other AI systems, is making sure that only the right data gets in the right hands, because this is a robot versus robot battle, right? Humans can't see and manage this risk.
And data is messy and it's all over the place and there's a lot there. So, kind of building off that, data doesn't just live in the Microsoft environment. Like I was saying, it's messy. Do you want to talk about the integration with Purview and why it matters to organizations that are trying to protect the data across sort of these messy estates across their entire ecosystem?
Yeah, I mean, data security, as you know, it's about coverage, it's about scale, and it's about depth, right? Not all of your data is going to live in M365. Some of it may still be on-prem. It's going to be in Snowflake and Databricks and AWS. And
you were telling me last night or day before yesterday that 60% of the data you encounter is still on-prem.
There's a lot in some organizations, especially highly regulated ones, but you don't know what you're going to get. You know, a customer may have data in places that you don't expect. And it's been our mission to support customers' data wherever it lives. And we've invested a lot of energy into building these connectors and doing the depth as well. It's not enough to just discover the sensitive data. You have to know whether it's at risk, whether that means a misconfiguration, over permissions, and then monitoring the actual activity, every read, move, open, modify, delete, so that you can, one, have a really detailed forensic audit trail, but two, be able to trigger alerts on abnormal behavior. And so now with this integration, you can leverage the power of Varonis and this massive coverage inside of Purview.
And you want to talk a little bit about the data sources outside the Microsoft cloud that you cover, where this sort of really, peanut butter and jelly starts to come together?
Yeah, I mean, you saw Salesforce on the screen. And the thing about each of these data sources is they all have their own permissions model. They all have their own format for event logging. And the risks are unique. Salesforce has had its own, attacks that are specific to it, and Snowflake, has its risk model. And so these are the things that we've taken the time to really understand and bring those now.
You built expertise over many years, I'm sure.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Every data story is unique, but the goal is the same, right? The outcomes that the customer want is the same, no matter whether we're talking about Salesforce or 365. It's no breaches, no fines, and to be able to plug in AI and be sure that it's only doing what you want it to do and nothing else.
So we were talking backstage, we're just getting going here together, Varonis and Microsoft. So looking ahead, what opportunities do you see for us, and what does the phrase, securing the world's data really mean to you in practice?
Yeah, well, before we talk about what's ahead, I just wanted to mention, we have managed data detection and response, which is a managed service to deal with security incidents related to data, and it's worked really well. And part of that is we ingest Defender for endpoint alerts, right? So we know what's going on the endpoint and on the data source, whether it's 365 or Snowflake or any of these data sources. So that's been a really popular integration. And we can also send our alerts into Sentinel. So we do have a lot of synergies along with Purview and labeling and other things that we've talked about here today. So I'm really excited to see where we're going. We're probably the last generation to manage an all-human workforce. And because of what we just discussed and AI wanting to ingest data, this partnership is never going to be, it's never been more important than it is now, and we appreciate it.
Very cool, very cool. Well, Rob, I just want to say thank you to you and the Varonis team. I think it's been interesting to start to kind of bring this partnership to life, and it'll be exciting to see what we do in this agentic world.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. So with that, we'll invite Talhah and Nathalia to close out this amazing session. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Rudy. Thanks, Rob. That was very exciting. Whoop.
No, that's it. I think, so we have more sessions tomorrow as well. Please join us there. I just want to say thank you for joining. Thank you for the amazing energy, and have an amazing rest of your Ignite.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
That concludes the session. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the rest of Microsoft Ignite.